earlier, Ty Cobb stepping in, announcing he's going to retire. William Haynes, former President Bill Clinton's impeachment attorney. He's now joining President Trump's legal team. 9 car bravers were killed in a military cargo plane crash in Savannah, Georgia. The plane went down while it moved to Tucson, Arizona, where it was set to be decommissioned. No word yet calls of the crash. A Southwest Airlines flight made an unexplained landing Wednesday into a cracked window. Unplanned landing. The aircraft landed safely in Cleveland, Ohio. It's heard why did that window crack? 2 weeks after another Southwest experienced engine failure, leading to death for passengers. For more on 5 News,
Scrubtastic has the power to break down caked-on, dried-on, rusted-on messes. Use Clorox Scrubtastic power in the shower to erase hard water stains, calcium, lime, and rust. Use your favorite Clorox cleaner, and Scrubtastic makes your tough cleaning job simple. Look how lightweight and easy it is to control as Scrubtastic cleans all around the bowl. Watch as Scrubtastic gets in to clean all those nooks and crannies in bathroom sinks and fixtures. And Scrubtastic is rechargeable and easy.
It's a new life after escaping to Canada. In the newest episode, she helps another refugee get help and adjust to his new life.
I was in the Army. Logistics and rapid deployment. After everything, just...
This is amazing.
Oh my God.
Hey, what's the secret, Joe? Give it up. Well, to be honest with you, Michael, it's a 100% rubber used, and you ought to know more than anybody else, Michael. It's the country roots, baby. You're right about that, Joe. You're right about that.
she's bringing you a live performance. You have to be girl talk.
Free, Plenty brought the traditional, original, classic recipe, 6 bags of either one, depending on your choice. So normally they're $40 to $47, but Joe showed that deal. All right. Good job.
Absolutely wonderful to see all these great local entrepreneurs, and so I've always selected the superhero. So who's the superhero for today?
Yeah, all right. So, drum roll, please. We are honoring the Gallo family. Come on over.
They can no longer be as bad as we thought it was, and with new technologies or new ways of dealing with it. It's fine to rethink regulations and look at them from time to time, but this seems to be just a, if Obama had anything to do with it, we're going to get rid of it.
And so it sounds like your qualms are twofold. So all of the ethical violations that we had outlined in this now, and his philosophy and his policy. And so in terms of, I mean, that's what obviously Americans are really interested in, is what this means for people that have been, or will my kids really been there. So here are the rollbacks that you're talking about that we know of. Some of them. Here's one of his policies: repealing the Clean Power Plan, centralizing control of Clean Water Act decisions, revising fuel efficiency standards, meaning, cars have become the efficiency standards.
The thing is, this does nothing for the industry and jobs. I mean, that's what they're supposedly about. And the car industry was already moving toward more highly efficient cars. The utilities, in fact, were pushing for more electric vehicles because that's where they see their future demand coming. So this is kind of mindless, and it's just exposing us to more pollutants.
He's also doing away with something that he calls secret science. What he says is that it is an effort at the more transparency about the underlying data on which policies are built. Because there was a feeling in previous administrations, certainly by some of his and conservatives, that all this data was being cooked. The books were being cooked. The numbers were being cooked. So now he's going to be transparent on the underlying data. Why do you think it's actually the opposite of what he's saying in layman's terms? Explain to us why this is a bad idea.
It sounds good, but a lot of the evidence that scientists use is based on things that come from hospitals and studies of humans. And that is patient privilege. We cannot reveal that, so they won't be able to see these long-term studies and trends that come from doctors and hospitals and research clinics that actually work with people. The other side of it, and it's a two-edged sword, because as far as industry is concerned, on the one side, they now can say, I'm not going to give you any data because it can be revealed and it's proprietary. But for those that really would like to see things move ahead, and they want to be heard, and they should be heard, and their take on whether or not a certain chemical is as bad as EPA scientists say it is, should be heard, they're going to say, I'm not turning this over because it's proprietary to what we're making and how we use it. And therefore, either side, they don't get heard. For the ones who are bad actors, they're happy with that.
That's really helpful. Okay. Well, in the short time we have left, as a Republican, I would ask you, and you're a Republican governor, you're a Republican in a Republican administration, you were in the cabinet. What did you like to watch from the sidelines? What's happening with this White House? Obviously, this morning there's all this Giuliani, Stormy Daniels news. What do you think of it?
It's really discouraging to me. We are seeing the norms that underpin our democracy being eroded at all levels. Things that we used to take for granted, that we didn't have people who lied to us, that we would get full information and disclosure, that we did have a standard that separated, for instance, cabinet officials from lobbyists who do business with their agency. You see it over and over again, and I just worry about the message that it's sending to young people. For EPA, for instance, I worry about this denigration of science. Young people are looking at what their future holds. They don't seem to care about science, if that's what I'm interested in. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I should find another avenue, and that's bad, but it's more the dissembling of fact and this attack on the freedom of the press. Be skeptical of the press, absolutely. With all due respect, you should be skeptical of stories, read both sides, see both sides. But to start to say that the press is the enemy of the people, freedom of the press is a basic underpinning of our democracy. Freedom from political influence of the judiciary and law enforcement. Again, if people don't trust the courts, if they don't trust law enforcement, they're going to be unbiased, politically unbiased. We have lost some of the very fundamentals of our democracy, the things that keep us strong.
St. Todd, would be great to get your perspective on everything. Thanks so much.
All right, so here's what we do. Right now, the President of the United States and his attorney have all told different stories to you about the President's involvement in this situation. They cannot all be true. That means somebody is intentionally deceiving. That's what we call a lie. How is this going to shake out? That's the bottom line. Next. Crown Plaza, your business that isn't just business. There's this. A bit of this. Why not? Your hotel should be business. You're all business. It's what we do. Crown Plaza, we're all business.
What's the biggest surprise reported by small business owners? No question, it's all the regulations and administrative responsibilities they have as business owners, especially payroll. Payroll is complex and time-consuming, and mistakes can mean tax trouble for you and your small business. Sure Payroll makes it fast and easy. Pay employees, contractors, and yourself in minutes from your computer or mobile device. Just enter wage information, and Sure Payroll does the rest. Federal, state, and local payroll taxes are accurately calculated and filed, guaranteed. Pay employees using direct deposit or checks you bring yourself. If you need help, Sure Payroll's award-winning U.S.-based customer service is there, even on weekends and evenings. And there's no contract. More time for you, less time on payroll and taxes. For 1 month of free payroll, visit SurePayroll.com now or call 844-SURE-PAYROLL. That's 844-SURE-PAYROLL. SurePayroll.com. Here's the story of Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Sumatra Reserve. Let's do Sumatra. The coffee here is amazing because the volcanic soil is amazing. Tweaking farms like Thin Wall plants to our delicious coffee, which helps provide for Thin's family. All for a smoother tasting cup of coffee. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters.
You are amazing. You're unstoppable.
has gas if you need it. For a range rating of 350 miles. Only clearing for Honda. Stand up to chronic migraine with Botox. What if you had fewer headaches and migraines a month? Botox prevents headaches and migraines before they even start. Botox is for adults with chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox injections take about 15 minutes in your doctor's office and are covered by most insurance.
The effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
With the Botox Savings Program, most people with commercial insurance pay nothing out of pocket. Talk to your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com to enroll.
Looking for a hotel that fits your budget? TripAdvisor now searches over 200 sites to find you the hotel you want at the lowest price. Get out, CG. Find a price that fits. TripAdvisor.
The story is changing when it comes to President Trump and what happened with these payments to Stormy Daniels. The White House now has a messaging crisis on their hands. How are they going to explain repeated denials from the president and the White House, and the podium of the White House as well? The president's involvement in hush money payments to Stormy Daniels just keeps on changing. Will the story ever get straight? That's the subject of the bottom line. CNN's David Challenge. What's your general take?
My general take is, first and foremost, that when you send someone in to do cleanup and he creates more of a mess, that's not the best cleanup man on the block. And I think that's what Rudy Giuliani was trying to do. It seems to me, Chris, that the Trump team is keenly aware that there is evidence known to investigators, whether it's the Southern District of New York or Mueller's team before he referred it, of the payments. And therefore, they wanted to get a fact pattern out there that had not yet been out there because the president denied any knowledge. But by getting it out there, as you just rightly stated, you create a messaging crisis. And I think that's where we're going.
So, what does the day ahead look like from where you sit in terms of what the White House will do now? There's a daily press briefing. I mean, anything could happen. How are they? What's the next chapter in all of these discrepancies?
So yeah, great question, Alison. I'm looking to see if the Trump team decides to employ the linguistic gymnastics that we remember back from the Clinton era about is. I am curious to see how they handle the president's comments on Air Force One and how they try to paint that as not a direct contradiction of what Rudy Giuliani said last night when he admitted that the president paid back Michael Cohen. Perhaps they'll say he said he didn't know anything about the payment he meant at the time. He didn't know how Michael Cohen got the money. At the time, Michael Cohen paid it. He knew about the reimbursement. So I'm curious to see how much they try to do a little bit of linguistic gymnastics.
Remember, that shift was about the burden of proof of a legal case. And that's one thing, but there's also burden of proof to the American people. Sarah Sanders, when asked about this morning, said this.
Where Giuliani is part of the president's legal team, he's got visibility and insight into this issue. He's spoken about this at length both last night and this morning. I would refer you back to his comments, particularly given the fact that this is ongoing litigation. It's something that we at the White House can't comment on, and I would refer you both to his comments as well as the president's tweets from earlier this morning.
No testing, that's why she's on there. But less than a month ago, this is what she said.
Yeah, I've had conversations with the president about this, and as I outlined earlier, that this case had already been won in arbitration, and that there was no knowledge of any payments from the president. He's denied all of these allegations.
And the president tweeted about it 1, 2, 3 times so far today. What do you make of that?
Well, I think you can tell in that Fox News answer, the first one that Sarah Sanders played, we got a little preview to what we're going to hear at the press briefing this afternoon. She's going to hang everything on to the fact that now there's this ongoing investigation in the Southern District of New York that was not necessarily known publicly back on March 7th. I don't think that's a very sturdy excuse. She clearly talked to the president about it. She spoke from the podium about it. She should own those words and clarify them today based on the new facts. Instead, it sounds like from Fox News appearance that she's just going to punt and say, talk to Rudy, I can't do this with an ongoing investigation.
All right, David Giant, thank you very much for the bottom line. Thanks to all of you watching. CNN Newsroom with John Berman and Poppy Carlo after this break.
Is back, giving the voice of the people, not always heard.
Never crossed the border. The border crossed us.
I'm an American. I am the guy next door. As a nation, are we ready to handle people who look different from how many of us define an American? I know I am. United Shades of America, W. Phenomenal. New episode Sunday nights at 10.
At Rallies and Checkers, get a vacation to go. With new, real fruit slushies that taste like their island life. Sweet peach mango or Caribbean colada. All that's missing is the palm tree. Rallies and Checkers, fast food is not the team.
Play along with America's favorite house nerds.
This is incredible.
Match the house.
Perhaps been or
The Hunters.
Oh, wow.
There's only one winner.
I think we got a winner.
Get ready for House Hunters, the home version. United to 10 on HKTV.
Putting up a party tent? Contact Mystic 811 before you dig. It's free and it's the law. Can you dig it?
At Rallies and Checkers, we're serving up 3 sizes of our new bistro snack. That's beef, melted cheese, bistro sauce, and crispy onions. So how hungry are you? A single, double, and triple bistro snack. Rallies and Checkers, fast food is not the game.
In Parts Unknown. New episodes Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Top of the hour, good morning, everyone. I'm Poppy Carlo.
Now, John Berman, the breaking news this morning. The president's story has changed. It's changed in a big, big way. After saying he did not know anything about the hush money payments to an adult film actress who said they had sex, now he says he reimbursed his lawyer for making those payments. So, which version is true? Which version is a lie? Also, on why he fired James Comey, his story has now changed, and it has changed in a big way. Much more on that.
Also this morning, the president is alleging that Ms. Daniels, the adult film star, extorted him over what he calls a fake affair, but his claims don't answer any of the questions about how she was paid off, when she was paid off, or when the president knew about the payment, made the payment to Michael Cohen. The central question in all of it is the porn star payoff break the law. Our MJ's Leah Searcy has all the details. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, what Rudy Giuliani said last night was such an unexpected bombshell. He seemed to contradict both what Michael Cohen and Donald Trump have said in the past, and now making so many more.
In Friday's U.S. jobs report.
President Trump's top advisors are in Beijing seeking to avoid a trade war with China. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin is heading the U.S. side of the discussions. The world's 2 biggest economies have threatened each other with tariffs on tens of billions of dollars worth of goods. Let's go to CNN's Matt Rivers, who is in Beijing for us. And Matt, there are a lot of differences to try to bridge in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, all those tariffs that you're talking about there, Maggie, neither side's threatened tariffs have gone into effect as of yet, but that isn't that far around the corner, those going into effect.
And now, with her husband Percy, she settled into a single-family home in the middle-class suburb of West Kendall. The new house lets each kid have their own room, and even comes with a rental apartment in the back.
I love this house.
I love you.
Mama, Rodrigo, hurry up with those boxes. They met each other when they were young, and the couple came here in search of a better life for themselves and for their children.
Elizabeth is proud of the success they've achieved together.
I think we're going to be very happy.
And she looks forward to growing old, surrounded by her kids in the years to come.
We were a very close family, the 4 of us. Our bond, our relationship, I think it was just, amazing.
Family is so close that in 2009, Elizabeth surprises her daughter Carla with a gift.
Mom, this is ridiculous. Can I just open my eyes?
ruin the surprise. What do you think?
What is this place?
It's your new dance studio.
Elizabeth grew up dancing salsa, and she extended that knowledge to her children. Carla was a very talented dancer.
My mom was like my #1 fan. I was 21 years old and dancing was my passion, so she was there, my biggest supporter.
Are you serious?
My parents opened up for me a dance studio where I started to begin teaching and doing my classes, something that I love to do. It was called Salsa Amor.
This is amazing! Thank you!
And that way, Carla was able to continue pursuing her dance career and dreams while still being close with family. The dance studio became successful, and they decided to expand it into a banquet hall.
My mother said, why don't we do a little bit more? Rent a location for events.
And have you been able to find anything out? Yeah, I knew my career. And the mom is down your top. Yes, that is Henry. He does not mention the president specifically. He says the Trump organization of the campaign. But it's pretty clear there that he was trying to suggest he paid the money himself and didn't get paid back.
Meanwhile, John, continued negotiations for an interview of the president by Robert Mueller. What conditions does this White House want met from the Mueller team as far as the length of the interview?
Yeah, well, what the negotiations continue apace. They are not sure whether or not the president is going to sit down with Mueller at this point. But Rudy Giuliani in a phone call with me yesterday, and then on Hannity's program, and again this morning on Fox and Friends, saying that there would have to be very, very strict conditions for an interview. The scope of questions has to be whittled down to just the central issues, Russia and the Comey firing. He told me yesterday everything else is tangential. And as you pointed out at the top, you would only give Mueller a relatively brief opportunity to question the president, some 2 to 3 hours. Listen to what he said this morning.
That's the amount of time that we would allow, only because that's what Clinton got. He got only 2.5 hours, and he fought with them over discovery. We've given them 1.2 million documents. Didn't fight with them over it. Could have. We could have raised presidential privilege, other privileges. We gave them a complete picture of what's going on. They should be able to do this if they have a case in 2.5 hours, or they want to dispose of it.
Giuliani told me yesterday afternoon that in order to have an interview, they would have to have a pretty solid expectation that the Mueller team would keep an open mind, that it could be Comey who's lying and the president who's telling the truth. He also said, Sandra, that they are ready to fight a subpoena if it comes to that. But he also said it's likely that any interview wouldn't happen for a number of weeks. The president, of course, is consumed by this pending summit with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and there just wouldn't be time to prep him before at least sometime in June. Sandra?
Just your average Thursday morning at the White House. John Roberts, thank you.
What time is it?
Yeah, it's 9:06. Plenty of time, John. Thank you. Charlie Herdick, the editor of Washington Times, Fox News contributor. Charlie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Joe.
You've been watching and listening. It's my sense after talking with the former mayor earlier today, there's not going to be an interview. They're going to fight this thing all the way to the Supreme Court. What do you sense right now based on what you have heard from Rudy Giuliani?
Well, I was kind of surprised that he even put out there the idea of 2 to 3 hours, limit. Because I agree with you. I think that the ship has been sort of moving in the direction of not doing an interview. And he makes a very good point that previously, these demands for documents have been buffed by presidents. This president has been very forthcoming in terms of turning over documentation. I don't think we know of any examples of where the White House or the president's team has refused to turn over stuff. It really does come down to answering a lot of sort of amorphous questions about what he was thinking at what time when this happened and that happened, and that's pretty, as Alan Dershowitz pointed out, that's a very, very dangerous thing for anybody to go into.
What Dershowitz said yesterday, challenged the subpoena legally. He had a better chance of success than sitting down at the table of prosecutors there. Look up at the makeup of the U.S. Supreme Court. I mean, we're taking this to another step, Charlie, but in talking with people close to his legal team, they think they've got a real good shot of challenging the constitutionality, fighting a subpoena of the U.S. sitting president. Do they?
I think I really do think that they do have a very good argument. But politically speaking, the other route is to go ahead and do, as Alan Dershowitz pointed out, go ahead and answer all of the questions in writing. You can even make them public if you wanted. But to answer all of those questions as fully as you can, and then sit down and just refuse to answer questions and say that on the grounds that you don't want to incriminate yourself by stepping into a perjury trap that you can't really foresee.
That's interesting. So that would be a play for public opinion.
Exactly.
A legal front.
Exactly. But you are absolutely allowed. Anybody can plead the fifth in a situation like this, and certainly the president can. The reason that he wouldn't do it is because it would be so politically damaging outside of that room. But if this is the one guy who could probably make the argument that, look, the only reason I'm not answering these questions is, I've already answered them. Look, I put them out publicly. I've already answered them. I'm not afraid to answer them. I just don't want to walk into some perjury trap that I can't foresee.
Maybe you get 5 votes on the bank of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. Incident analysis there. Charlie Hurd in Washington, D.C. spoke with Rudy Giuliani earlier today and has been doing a lot of interviews. He spoke to the president several times since last night and again this morning, he said last night on Hannity he wanted to address the Mueller matter first, but also wanted to get this information out, Sandra, about the payments to the attorney Michael Cohen. I said, are your stories changing? Because it appears the stories could be. He said, you can't remember everything, Bill, so when different matters come up, we try and address it. He said, Reagan submitted answers in writing. Hillary did a Q&A, was not under oath. We'll fight the subpoena and take it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court where they think they might have the vote. So that seems to be, listening to John Roberts say all this is changing in the past 12 hours, that seems to be where we are.
People seem clearly on offense. Meanwhile, stunning new video coming in from the deadly Las Vegas massacre from last year. Las Vegas police releasing intense body camera footage from the moments they stormed into his Mandalay Bay hotel suite. Groups of officers sweeping rooms on the floor of the active shooter, trying to track him down. Adam Housley is live in Los Angeles with the latest on all of this. This is our first look, Adam.
Yeah, Sandra, pretty dramatic. We can't believe it's been almost 7 months since the shooting that killed 58 and injured hundreds more. This video was court-ordered. Las Vegas Metro PD fought the idea of releasing the body cam video. They lost that fight. It shows video from 2 cameras on 2 different Las Vegas Metro police officers as they made their way from the casino all the way up to the 32nd floor where the shooter was. Take a listen.
Better know we're doing another break. Another break. Another break.
That was about 50 minutes after the shooter had killed himself. We now know later, but the video, about 2.5 hours worth, once again reminds us of so many unanswered questions. His officers are yelling. There's a shooter. He's shot and he's killed multiple people already. Meantime, you see gamblers at the slot machines on the first floor still gambling, still filling the casino as a tactical team made its way through the hotel and eventually upstairs at the Mandalay Bay. Paddock began firing about at the Route 91 Festival around 10:05 p.m. Officers would not reach his room, at least breach the door, until 11:20. The deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. 59 people killed, hundreds injured, victims still demanding answers.
It's like being in the desert and needing water. I run to it. Like when I knew there was news coming out, I really thirst for information, and I think that just comes with, we all want some answers.
Yeah, answers. And in fact, this video does bring a couple of more questions. First of all, it's only a sample of hundreds of hours of body cam video. And secondly, the first officer that went through the door at 11:20 p.m., again, significant time after the shooting had stopped, we now know, did not turn his camera on, which has caused a lot of controversy, a lot of questions about whether that officer will be disciplined because he's required to do so. So, Sandra, still a lot here we don't know, but it shows the massive arsenal inside the room that man, that killer, had basically brought in there to shoot and massacre people down below.
So a lot of unanswered questions there. Adam Housley, thank you.
More on that coming up here, 12 minutes past. Breaking news from North Korea. Watch this story. There is new hope For 3 Americans held hostage in Pyongyang, will they find freedom today? Former Navy SEAL Virginia Congressman Scott Taylor next on that with his reaction.
Plus, another tragedy for the U.S. military. All 9 people aboard a C-130 killed as the aircraft plunged to the ground in its final moments of retirement. We will speak to a former Navy pilot.
Also, a former Trump campaign advisor who just yesterday spent 3 hours with Bob Mueller's attorneys, now talking about what he says are unprecedented attacks against the current administration that they're now trying to deal with. Listen.
It's nothing compared to the death threats that my family and I are getting. It's nothing compared to the piece of a sniper rifle that came in the middle of my wife last month. I'm just a witness. I can't imagine if somebody's a subject or a target what they're going to go through.
Mom, Dad, hi. I had a very minor fender bender tonight in an unreasonably narrow fast food drive-thru lane. But what a powerful life lesson. And don't worry, I have everything handled. I already spoke to our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness, which is so smart on your guys' part. Like the fact that they'll just forgive you.
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Your heart doesn't only belong to you. And if you have heart failure, entrusting your heart to Entresto may help. Entresto is a heart failure medicine that helps improve your heart's ability to pump blood to the body. In the largest heart failure study ever, Entresto was proven superior at helping people stay alive and out of the hospital compared to a leading heart failure medicine. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto and help make more tomorrows possible. Entresto for heart failure.
You might take something for your heart or joints, but do you take something for your brain? With an ingredient originally found in jellyfish, Prevagen is the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Adapt supply chains based on trends, tweets, and storms, and make adjustments on the fly. The IBM Cloud, the cloud for smarter business.
It's coming. Mother's Day. In a world of unnecessary upsells and hidden fees, a hero emerges. Boots.com. Free delivery, transparent pricing, happiness guaranteed. We even have flowers that were grown on the side of a volcano. Seriously. And the critics love it. Use code HERO to save 15% at Boots.com.
If you've been turned down for a mortgage because of credit or tax return issues, Cash Call Mortgage now has credit and income-solving mortgages for people like you. Just call 855-890-CASH and we'll work with you to find a solution to your mortgage issues.
So, I think I gotta get my room prepared. You know anybody? Yeah, actually. Yeah, great. Can you do a free background check on them? Get me some additional quotes and book them for 2 weeks from now.
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can. So to find and book a top-rated home pro for free, just ask HomeAdvisor.
How did you talk me into this? This is crazy! Horns! You want the horns?
What you don't see can hurt you. If you just monitor your credit, you can miss certain identity theft threats. LifeLock sees more, like your personal information on the dark web. And if there is a problem, we'll work to fix it with our $1 Million Protection Package. LifeLock, starting at $9.99 a month.
Another alert now, 17 past. Is there a new hope now for 3 Americans detained in North Korea? 3 men shown here may have been moved recently to the capital city. And the president tweeting this in the last 12 hours. As everybody's aware, the past administration has long been asking for 3 hostages to be released from the North Korean labor camp, but to no avail. Stay tuned. Former Navy SEAL Virginia Congressman Scott Taylor with me now, and sir, good morning to you. Do you have insight as to whether or not these men are coming home soon or even today?
I'm not privy to that inside information, but this is shaping up to be a gesture of goodwill by the North Koreans, and kudos to the president for working diligently to get them released.
So you see each side moving a little more toward one another? How would you size that up?
Yeah, I do. You know, I think there's a historic opportunity here. You know, this administration obviously is working diligently with diplomatic efforts, but backed up by military efforts. They've had strong sanctions. They've had, you know, obviously continuing to do military exercises with our allies in the region. The president has been very good, quite frankly, at shepherding not just our allies in the region, but also China and Russia and the UN to take action. So, you know, one of the things, and I'm writing an op-ed, I think that could happen, it could be useful in the summit as well, is, as you very well know about the Marshall Plan, with the United States financed, of course, the rebuilding of Europe after World War II. The president has an opportunity here to have not a Marshall Plan, but a Trump plan to, not the United States to pay for it, but our allies, who, of course, if there was war, it would be much more costly in treasure and lives, and they could come together to create a fund to bring North Korea into this century, quite frankly, in exchange for denuclearization, which is something that he seems to be very serious about doing.
Yeah, so you would help North Korea rebuild its country. I
think the president could shepherd.
I don't see this leader going for that. I mean, he lives in the most closed society. And with the exception of Cuba, perhaps, he is the last holdout for that type of life.
That's very true, but as you saw when Kim was meeting his counterpart in South Korea, he was making remarks on the infrastructure, how their infrastructure was much better. So I think that this could be a carrot, if you will, via our allies in the region like Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, who would stand to lose a tremendous amount if there's not peace on the Korean Peninsula. And I think that this President Trump, could be the one to have a Trump plan and shepherd that to himself for them to finance that. It would be much more costly than doing it. We'll look for your op-ed. Final question.
Just there, it seems upon his visit, he wasn't sure he was going to meet with Kim Jong-un, and he was called across the street to
the DMZ. President Trump seems to favor that. I guess that would be the logical location.
Well, I think it was good that Secretary Pompeo went there, number one, and number two, it would be very historically symbolic to do it right here at the DMZ, and I think, you know, why not?
Let's get these Americans home. I don't know what Kim's calculation is here, but he's taken people hostage in the past, accused them of hostile acts, always the same allegation, trying to overthrow our government, but in the past there's been no evidence of that. Let's get these men home. Sir, thank you, Scott Taylor, with your time today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bill.
Iran now answering U.S. threats to pull out of the Iran nuke deal. The Iranian foreign minister now saying they will not renegotiate that agreement. Details on that straight ahead. Plus, another scare on a Southwest Airlines plane. How another cracked window forced an emergency landing.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. Flonase helps block 6 key inflammatory substances. Most pills only block 1. Flonase.
All right, I brought in new Max Protein to give you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. New Ensure Max Protein and 2 great flavors. Millions of you are online right now searching one topic. That will generate over 600 million results. And if you've been diagnosed with cancer, searching for answers, like where to treat, can feel even more overwhelming. So start your search with a specialist at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Start with teams of cancer treatment experts under one roof. Start where specialists use advanced genomic testing to guide precision cancer treatment that may lead to targeted therapies and more treatment options. Start where there's a commitment to analyzing the latest research and conducting clinical trials to help each patient get the personalized cancer care they deserve. Start at one of the Cancer Treatment Centers of America hospitals near you. The evolution of cancer care is here. Learn more at cancercenter.com/experts. Appointments available now.
I was up and down with my weight my entire life.
When diets don't work, it's easy to quit.
From a top diet 8 years straight.
Lose
pounds of chicken. So, the New York Times, and a lot of those were focused on the president's intent related to not just firing of Comey and Michael Flynn, but also his ties to Russia and his business ventures out into Russia. It's very notable that you tied this with a former aide coming basically out of the hearing with Mueller and saying, whoa, they are really focused on collusion, with a legal shakeup among Trump's team to have a team that's more adversarial toward Mueller. And it suggests that the White House believes what Caputo is saying or has some information to believe that is true and is concerned about it.
So that legal shakeup is a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
And to see you have this new legal team, Emmett Flood coming in, Rudy Giuliani overseeing it all, and you can see them already being a lot more aggressive. Rudy Giuliani says that the president won't sit down unless there's a time limit of 2 hours.
Right.
If we know the questions in advance, you know, I
Narrow.
also think if there's like candy and lemonade provided as well. Do you think, Susan, the special counsel would ever agree to those stipulations?
So I don't think Robert Mueller is going to agree to these voluntary conditions unless he's going to be able to get what he needs. It's going to be sufficient. We've already seen sort of a wide-ranging topics, you know, these 49 issue areas, more questions underlying that. You know, the idea that they're going to be able to cover that in 2 and 3 hours, that's just not plausible. Certainly, if Mueller wants to have a voluntary interview, he will have to concede a little bit on scope and time and place. You know, but 2 or 3 hours, I think that's just a fair.
But here's what we do know also from Rudy Giuliani, that apparently Mueller's team has said no to written answers. He said no, so it's going to have to be a sit down or nothing, and that brings up the issue of subpoena. If the president said flat out no, would there be a subpoena? A source tells the LA Times that with Cobb's departure, with Ty Cobb leaving the White House, quote, the number of people who think the president should talk to Mueller has gone to 0. So?
Well, right. I mean, this has been an ongoing debate among his legal team, and clearly with Cobb's departure, there went the last person who was really sort of advocating for this and feeling like, you know, some of the advice that they've been getting previously was, you know, we cooperate as much as we can, we give them as much of what they're asking for as we can, and in the process of doing that, we will basically help to wrap this up quickly, the special counsel will get what he needs, and this will be over. Well, clearly that has not panned out, and what you've seen in the last week in the shakeup of the legal team is a real desire to have a different approach and try to figure out, okay, well, if we're in this for the long haul, and if, as Michael Caputo says, they know a lot of facts and they're pulling on a lot of threads, how are we going to settle into a sort of a way of dealing with all of these requests and this interview in particular? And I think that there's still a pretty vibrant debate going on among the new team about whether they should even entertain a voluntary interview. And if they don't, I do think that Mueller is going to be, you know, pretty keen to pursue other avenues. And if that means a subpoena, it means a subpoena.
All right, Susan Hennessy, Julie Hirschfeld Davis, Amber Phillips, thanks so much for digging. I appreciate it. So, Rudy Giuliani flat out says the president reimbursed his personal attorney for hush money paid to Stormy Daniels, and now the president says it's 2. But this is not what the president has been saying all along.
Also, we're moments away from the opening bell on Wall Street. Looks like a flat open this morning. Investors watching very closely as the president's top economic advisors are in China today for trade negotiations.
Before the Bell is brought to you by E-Trade, the original place to invest online. Go to cnnmoney.com/beforethebell to stay on top of the markets and sign up for the daily newsletter.
Let's get started. Show of hands. Who wants customizable options chains? Ones that make it fast and easy to analyze and take action. How about some of the lowest options fees? Are you raising your hand? Good. Then it's time for Power E-Trading, the platform pricing service that gives you the edge you need. All right, one quick game of rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3, go. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
Designed to be breathable. Lightweight to move on. Flexible to move with you. The style of design. That's Skechers Sport Units. Restaurants you love, delivered with Grubhub.
I've had muscle cramps for as long as I can remember. But now that I'm using TheraWorks Relief, they have stopped. This is the only thing in my entire life
It has actually worked.
Get TheraWorks Relief today at TheraWorksRelief.com.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
The best cuts of meat are treated with respect. Topped with aged Kentucky bourbon barbecue sauce. What happens to the less great cuts of meat? Not sure. Cheeseburgers, maybe? Bourbon barbecue sandwiches. Arby's, we have the meats.
I just switched here for the Flex Seal family of products. Everyone loves Flex Seal, the easy way to coat, seal, and stop leaks fast. Just a quick shot fills cracks and holes. Stop the toughest leaks. It's actually liquid rubber in a can. And with Flex Seal liquid, you can brush, roll, dip, or pour for a watertight seal. Flex Seal liquid starts out thick and turns into a super strong, flexible rubber. And with Flex Shot, you can carve, bond, and seal virtually anything. Push the trigger to make quick repairs. Perfect for kitchens and baths. And Flex Tape is the super strong waterproof tape that can instantly patch, bond, seal, and repair. Flex Tape's triple thick adhesive is so strong it even imagine everything you can do with Flex Seal. Flex Seal liquid, Flex Shot, and Flex Tape.
Opioids, the worst and deadliest drug crisis in American history. While it's completely hopeless, can pot save us? Dr. Sanjay Gupta with a groundbreaking report on medical marijuana. Weed 4, pot versus pills. Tomorrow night, 11.
Attention, if you owe money to the IRS, they're cracking down this year like running through paychecks and seizing assets. Don't let tax debt destroy your money. Call Optima Tax Relief. They're experts in the fresh start edition, a special IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. Optimus resolves over $500 million of tax debt and will fight to get you the best deal possible. Call for a free consultation.
For your free consultation, call 1-800-385-3419.
You owe more than
And it's a crinkly vibe.
You qualify for the IRS Fresh Start program, so you won't have to make any payments to the IRS. That's right. If you qualify for the IRS Fresh Start program, you won't make any IRS payments once you're accepted. Once you're in the IRS Fresh Start program, the IRS will stop all harassing and threatening collection activities. Call
Somebody stole my paperwork from me.
800-418-4310 to see if you qualify. 800-418-4310.
Dean Parts Unknown. New episodes Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Yeah, I've had conversations with the president about this, and as I outlined earlier, that this case had already been won in arbitration, and that there was no knowledge of any payments from the president, and he's denied all of these allegations.
The president strongly, clearly, and has consistently denied these underlying claims.
Are you just going to make my paperwork go to his paperwork? I mean, not.
The problem is, according to Rudy Giuliani, his lawyer, looks like the president did know.
Joining us now to discuss CNN senior political reporter Nia Malika Henderson, and we just heard again from Sarah Sanders, a little bit of a different take that she had a month and a half ago. Listen.
Guys, Mayor Giuliani as well as the president have spoken at length about this morning and last night. Because of the ongoing litigation, I'm not going to comment any further. I don't have anything else to add.
I don't think you should talk. So, fight down his throat.
Again, even the president lying to her, or Sarah Sanders lying to her.
They got a gum wrapper. Oh my god, I bet you could like deceive everybody and make this like really big with like, you know, just make it really big on the camera. does that, dude. Okay. box around my window so you can't see. This mat though, this yoga mat's like squishy. Just to figure out a diaper. No, why is she making it look like that? Oh, so. Then I was folding Caroline's underwear and they're like, make it look like they're back here with me. Look at that cat's from behind them. It's hiding on the trees. See him come out me. Past that door. Get another view. Coffee pad, this one. I'll send it and then we get on.